What's up guys, my name is Ace, and welcome back to the Versus series. This is the series where I take two similar elements from a Call of Duty game, I take a deep dive into their stats, put them side by side to find out which one is best. And in today's episode, we're going to be having a look at the two 7.62x39mm assault rifles in this game, the AK-47 versus the CR-56 AMAX. And diving right into the stats, let's kick it off with rate of fire. With the AK-47, our rate of fire is 561 rounds per minute, whereas with the CR-56, it's 645 rounds per minute. So you can see there that you definitely fire noticeably faster with the AMAX, and this means that it's noticeably more forgiving if you are missing the odd shot here and there. As for damage, up close, both of these deal the same damage at 42 to the upper torso. Keep in mind, all these damage profiles here are upper torso shots. And then the AK just drops off to 38 damage, and that 38 damage range carries out to infinity. Whereas with the AMAX, it has several other damage ranges, and it ends up dropping all the way down to 28 damage, which is significantly lower. Now taking this into our DPS potential, or damage per second, up close in the 42 damage range, the AK-47 has a DPS value of 394, whereas the AMAX is 452. And that's not really surprising because at this range they both deal the same amount of damage, but the AMAX fires quite a bit faster. And this brings us to the next thing, which is our minimum time to kill. Again, this is assuming you're in that maximum damage range up close. And obviously, the AMAX is going to be killing a little bit faster than the AK, but both of these have a very competitive time to kill. And that same trend continues with 3 armor plates equipped as well as full health. The AK-47 in this case will kill in 535 milliseconds, which is quite fast for an assault rifle. It's definitely a little bit on the faster end. However, the AMAX is noticeably faster at 465 milliseconds. It's worth noting that the AMAX actually has one of the fastest time to kill potentials in the assault rifle category, especially when we're just talking about full autos. But that pretty much covers it for that raw killing potential. However, I did want to take this a step further and have a deeper look at how many shots it's going to take you to kill with each of these guns against various amounts of armor plates in Warzone. So again, we have our damage profiles here that you can see. And without any armor plates, both of these will kill in 3 shots up close. However, at range, the CR-56 will drop off to a 4-shot kill, whereas the AK still maintains a 3-shot kill potential as long as you're hitting the upper torso. Then with 1 armor plate equipped, again, the AK is a 4-shot kill to the upper torso at any range. It doesn't matter. Whereas the CR-56 has a 4-shot kill potential, but it also drops off to 6 shots to kill at longer ranges. And this trend continues with 2 plates as well as 3. Up close, they both kill in the same number of shots because they deal the same amount of damage. But you can see, once you start stretching the ranges out, it's going to take you a couple extra shots to kill with the AMAX against enemies, especially when they have multiple armor plates equipped. And therefore, this is one area where I wanted to point out that the AK-47 has a clear edge. Now, speaking of these ranges, here's a range chart here, and I tried to also show which parts of the body these ranges extend to. So you can see with the AK-47, up close, it's a 3-shot kill anywhere in the body or 2 shots to the head. Whereas after about 28 meters or so, this is where it's now going to be just a 3-shot kill to the upper torso. Whereas if you're shooting them in the lower torso or anywhere else in the body, it will take you 4 shots to kill. As for the AMAX, again, up close, same damage as the AK-47, so you can kill in 3 shots anywhere in the body, assuming they don't have armor. But then you can see the different damage drop-off points. And with this, at the longer ranges, like beyond 45 meters or so, the only way that you can get a 4-shot kill is to the upper torso, and anywhere else in the body is going to be a 5-shot kill. And this is where the AK gains a pretty big advantage because they can kill in just 3 shots as long as they're hitting the upper torso here. Now, one thing to mention is even though a lot of this is focused on Warzone, for multiplayer, I just wanted to point out that the vast majority of gunfights are going to fall within about 30 meters or so. And this is why I would say those range drop-off points on the AMAX really aren't a big issue in regular multiplayer, but they do start to become a much bigger issue if you're playing Ground War or Warzone. Additionally, I wanted to include the 2 most popular barrels that you would be using in Warzone, the 23-inch Romanian Barrel for the AK-47, because this essentially has like a built-in Merc foregrip, and this one increases our ranges by 35%, and then with the AMAX, we have the XRK Zodiac Barrel, which also increases our ranges by 35%. Now, just like I always say in this series, these ranges don't mean much if you can't hit your target, so let's have a look at recoil. And starting it off with the AK recoil, you can see it kicks pretty much straight upwards, a little bit of side-to-side bounce here, and definitely some jumps between shots. Whereas with the CR-56, it actually looks very similar, pretty much straight up recoil pattern, with a small amount of side-to-side bounce. And when we look at it side by side, well, they're both pretty similar. They both kick pretty much straight upwards. The CR-56 has a smaller magnitude of recoil, so it doesn't kick upwards quite as high as the AK. But more importantly, you can see that there are no large gaps between shots with the CR-56, whereas with the AK-47, there are some pretty big gaps in there. And those big gaps are what will often throw you off target at medium to somewhat longer ranges. And this is why the CR-56 AMAX recoil is clearly superior to the AK-47. Moving on, let's have a look at our aim down sight time. With the AK-47, it's 267 milliseconds, which is pretty good for an assault rifle, whereas the AMAX is just 1 frame slower at 60 FPS, and it's 284 milliseconds. So this is one more area where the AK gets a slight edge over the AMAX. As for our movement speed, you can see here that they're both very, very similar. The AMAX is just a little bit faster, but it's hardly even noticeable. That's pretty much a negligible difference in movement speed. However, when it comes to reload time, the AK-47 is actually very fast at 1.17 seconds, whereas the AMAX is pretty slow for an assault rifle at 1.69 seconds. And with that, that pretty much covers it for all of the important base stats with these two guns. And while there are a lot of similarities between these two, you can see that there are some key differences as well that you need to be aware of when making your decision. But before we get into the conclusion here, I wanted to have a look at these guns with various attachments that you might expect to see in Warzone equipped, because obviously attachments are important. Most people aren't going to be running around with no attachments on their guns. So let's have a look at 2 example setups that I put together that are designed to be very similar to each other so we can get more of an apples to apples comparison. I'm not in any way saying that these are objectively the best setups to use in Warzone. It's just 2 setups that are using a lot of common attachments that you would see in Warzone. So with our AK setup here, we've got the monolithic suppressor, the 23-inch Romanian Barrel, which like I said, that basically gives you a built-in Merc foregrip, which is really nice to have on the AK. Then we have a tac laser, which helps with our aim down sight time, and also our aiming stability, which can help get that first shot accuracy at longer ranges. Then for our stock, we've got the skeleton stock equipped on there, so we can strafe a little bit faster in gunfights, and that also helps a little bit with aim down sight time as well. And then finally, for ammunition, we're using the 40-round mag. Now, I know some people like using the 75-round drum mag with this, but I just feel like that hurts your movement speed far too much, as well as your aim down sight time. So I think the 40-round mag is generally a better choice. Now, it is worth noting that a lot of times I also like to use an optic on the AK, so I'll swap one of these attachments out for an optic. But for the sake of this comparison, I'm just going to keep optics out of the equation, just to keep things nice and simple. Now, it is worth noting that our aim down sight time with this particular build is 317 milliseconds. So make sure you remember that number for when we have a look at our Amax setup, which is right here. So with this one, we once again have that monolithic suppressor. We've got the XRK Zodiac barrel. Then again, we've got that tac laser. We've also got a Merc foregrip on this, which is the best grip that you can use for this particular gun. And then finally, for our ammunition, we've got a 45-round magazine. And with this particular setup, our aim down sight time is 367 milliseconds, which is 50 milliseconds slower than our AK setup. So that is definitely something to consider when looking at these two setups side by side. Another thing that's quite important when comparing these side by side is our recoil with all of these attachments equipped. And you can see here that while we did significantly reduce the overall magnitude of the recoil on both of these guns with these attachments, you're still getting a pretty decent sized jump between some of the shots with the AK-47, whereas with the CR-56, we don't get those big jumps between shots, and therefore I would say the CR-56 is still the clear winner in the recoil department. So with that, putting all of this information together, which one of these two guns would I say is best? Well, when looking at the stats up close, clearly there's no contest here. The CR-56 is just the better gun. They deal the same amount of damage and it shoots quite a bit faster and the recoil is easier to control. So yeah, there's no question in my mind the CR-56 is the clear winner from 0 to about 30 meters or so. However, beyond that, when we start to get to longer ranges, this is where the AK starts to pull ahead in the raw killing potential department. However, we do have to go back to that recoil as well, and that AK recoil can really screw you up in a gunfight at longer ranges with those big jumps between shots, and this often means that you can't really fire full auto at your target. You have to kind of pause between shots to let it settle, and every time you pause to recenter your shot, your time to kill is just going through the roof. And as a result, even at longer ranges, I would generally rather have a CR-56 in my hands. Yes, it might take you an extra couple of shots to kill against an armored user, but I really don't mind if that means that I can be more accurate and therefore actually fire full auto the entire time I'm shooting at the enemy player. So yeah, when it comes down to it, there are definitely some pros and cons with each of these, but to me at least, there are far more pros with the CR-56, and generally speaking, I would much rather have the CR-56 AMAX in my hands compared to the AK-47. But of course, that is just my opinion based on these stats, as well as my experience with both of these guns. I'd like to know in the comment section below, what do you guys think about these two assault rifles? Which one do you think is best, the AK-47 or the CR-56? Just let me know those thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.